I'm ready for some high school football on News 12 now.
We are marching towards the end of the regular season. Some teams sprinting towards conference titles.
I'm the real deal.
Others are wounded but trying to find a way to limp to the finish. We have it all in this week's Week 9 edition of the Blitz. Undefeated Northside of Beaufort County had their annual battle with East Carteret, the winner in Yeatsville, taking home the Coastal Plains Conference title.
1, 2, 3,
Northside of Jacksonville, trying to win the Coastal this year, had a big intra-county rivalry game with Dixon, who still has hopes of stealing the Monarchs' crown. And rivals Ayden-Grifton and Greene Central had their annual slugfest in Snow Hill. Smile if you're ready for another wild edition of the most inclusive high school football show.
The Blitz starts now!
Hey, welcome into another award-winning edition of The Blitz. The contenders for conference titles really starting to come into focus now, and these final 3 weeks of the regular season are going to determine who can hang a banner in their gym.
The Coastal Plains Conference was a two-team race, and those two teams met tonight. East Carteret made the long bus ride to the north side of Beaufort County.
The Panthers undefeated, having a great season, but East Carteret on a 3-game win streak, and they beat the Panthers last year. That's why it's our law offices of John Drew Warlick Blitz Premier matchup. Northside up 14-10 at the half, but here comes East Carteret. Their fine quarterback, Luke McIntosh. He is looking for Jackson Greene. He's got a lot of green. Waving like that's going to get you a penalty. It did. That shirt, that should never get you a penalty. That was top-notch at homecoming for Northside. And speaking of top-notch, here comes the senior quarterback, Chase Hewitt. Keeps it on the option and goes all the way untouched for the score. Northside back on top, 21-17. BJ Frazier says, guess what? We need to steal a possession. So how about a fake punt, huh? Looks like it's wide open, but he had a long way to go, and that Northside defense gets him just short of the first down. So Keith Boyd says, okay, well, what are we going to do? We're going to give it to our running back stable, including Jamari Whitney, who backs his way in. And that made it a 2-score Northside lead. Malachi Moore named the homecoming king. And he says, I got to go. You know why? I got to pick off a pass. Watch Moore come flying in. Pretty good basketball player, shows off those jumping skills. He has the INT to thwart another East Carteret drive, and those Panthers getting revved up as they have Sincere Columbus. And Sincere would score 3 touchdowns on the night as Northside gets the win, holding on 44-33 to stay undefeated, but it was a good test for the Panthers.
I like our fight. I mean, you know, we kind of had a lot of things go against us, and we kept bouncing back and finding a way. Our resiliency is pretty strong right now in our leadership.
So lots of hugs. Northside stays undefeated. Now they have the big Anchor Bowl game coming up next week at Southside.
Battle for third place in the Coastal Plains Conference. Pamlico visited Southside, where they play for the Fossil Bowl plaque. Check that puppy out. It looks good hanging there as Noah Gibbs, the freshman quarterback, with the 1-yard rush touchdown for Pamlico. The Hurricanes feeling good, but Peyton Sutherland with a big, long run, juking left, right, doesn't matter. He was out sprinting the competition and running, getting the win. Southside 44-24.
Thank you, April Rose, for the highlights. Jones Senior and Lejeune had their own Super Bowl. Both teams looking for their first win. They played aboard Camp Lejeune. And check out Grady Mahaffey, the long run in red for number 18. That would set up at number 18 at the goal line again. Grady Mahaffey, the sophomore captain, going to take it in for the score. And Lejeune gets off the schneid. They get the 21-0 win over Jones Senior. So congratulations to Sam Cassell and company.
Let's go to the Big Carolina Conference. D.H. Conley started the night tied with Jacksonville for first place, and that's who the Vikings play next Friday.
Yeah, but Conley had to worry about their old friends from New Bern first, and we had ourselves a back-and-forth match at the Hollywood Crossroads in this game of old rivals. Next week's game against Jacksonville, we'll be playing for a conference championship. So that's where Terrence McCormick said, I'm going to go to work for New Bern. Where's number 3? There he goes. They call him Pop, and he pops right out of there. And nice block by Ozell Brimmer downfield. brings him for the score.
And D.H. Conley fans, although they were enjoying their time, certainly not loving that touchdown run, but then Ahmad Lovett just boom, he's already into the end zone. In a blink of an eye, he scored the touchdown as D.H. Conley continued to feel good as Samari Cabell. It's that brother connection, finding his bro Shema Cabell with the deep snag, which would set up a field goal by Preston Harden right through the uprights. And how about that? D.H. Conley getting the win over New Bern, 34-25.
So that would set up that matchup with undefeated Jacksonville if the Cardinals could have a successful trip to Winterville.
To take on that South Central team trying to break its 4-game slide is Anthony Washington on the fade route touchdown to Saron Thompson, and he would let out a fiery scream, pumped up, and Ryan Bowie just scrambling around on the sideline trying to look for any answers to contain that offense, but Anthony Washington was back to his usual antics. This time the screen pass to Josiah Benton. He was in for the score, 14-0, and who was happy on the sideline? Bo Williams. There's a smile, chewing some gum, enjoying it. Mari Pearson had another big night as the Cardinals strolled to a 28-7 victory over the Falcons to stay undefeated. Thumbs up.
One other big Carolina Conference game, White Oak made their trip to Greenville to take on J.H. Rose. First meeting since their epic 2023 playoff game. Chase Davis at quarterback getting a lot of the snaps now, finding Kason Chase, and a chase to Chase for the score. The refs then chatting up about what they should call next. We would just like them to keep their flags in their pocket more if that's possible. But Javion Jordan, the run for White Oak, or stopping the run for White Oak, and Rose, they pull away for the 44-22 win as they're trying to heat up here towards the end of the season.
Let's go to the Three Rivers Conference. First place West Craven made their first trip to Wheat Swamp since 2019. DJ Davis, we know he can sling it, and who would he find deep downfield? Antwain Jones soaring over the Hawks for the touchdown. And there's Mr. Lee, Mike Lee's son, North Lenoir, trying to go into that huddle. Larry Dale trying to give some words of inspiration. It worked for Anton Black snagging the interception, but it's West Craven getting the win at Wheat Swamp 41-7.
Big battle for second place in the Three Rivers Conference. North Pitt took its 3-game winning streak to Eastern Wayne. The Warriors, well rested, coming off a bye week, maybe getting big heads. Sincere Battle is going to get the short rushing touchdown. And New Hope is the name of the area where Eastern Wayne is, and they had lots of hope. Bryce Cox, he does come through with this touchdown pass to Davon Hudson. But that was about it for North Pitt. They really struggled tonight. We thought they were really gaining some momentum, but they got caught by Eastern Wayne. Mr. Cates, the touchdown pass to Jeremiah Faison. Jeremiah was a touchdown catcher, and Eastern Wayne gets the 45-12 win over North Pitt.
How bad did you want to say bullfrog right there? Washington, fresh off its first win of the season, traveled to Pine Tops to take on Southwest Edgecombe. And here comes Anderson Thomas on the kick return, setting up some great field advantage for the Pam Pack. Brian Pascal certainly loving that on the sideline. He wouldn't get the touchdown, though, just barely outside of the 4-5-3 yard line over on the sideline. Who would that be?
Travis Sabdo, former Havelock quarterback, calling the plays for the Pam Pack.
And who would be the touchdown scorer but the quarterback himself, Mr. Evan Makepeace. As Southwest Edgecombe, though, trying to huddle up, find out some solutions, and their quarterback would find one at least into the end zone with the rushing touchdown. But how about this? Washington, the Pam Pack, getting the win on the road, an upset 38-34. Caleb Sma forcing his way in for the touchdown and the exclamation point. 2 wins back-to-back in a row for Brian Pascal.
Said they changed some of the culture and some things in the locker room, and that's made the difference these last 2 weeks. So congratulations to the Pam Pack. All right, we've got plenty more highlights to show you, including Dixon and Northside Jacksonville in an Onslow County clash.
But first, it's our Coastal Carolina Community College fans in the stands. Who do we got, Brian?
We're back out in Yatesville. We saw the fancy shirt. How about everybody else not as Natalie clad, but still bundled up on a chilly night, ready for homecoming and a big Northside win. Thanks to all the fans that came out of this chilly night. Even Sincere's girlfriend. Oh. More highlights coming up next on the Blitz. Hey, thank you for watching The Blitz. Northside Jacksonville having its best season since 2012 when the Monarchs went undefeated during the regular season and ended up losing deep in the playoffs.
The last time Northside won a conference title was 2015, a decade ago, but they went into tonight's game with Dixon all alone in first in the Coastal Conference.
Well, Dixon, they can be tough now with that single wing. First meeting between the two schools since 2016. Your Chris Miller stat of the day, Northside 6-0 all-time versus Dixon. Well, Rely Anderson, you can rely on him to come through. The junior running back really starting to heat up now. He scores, closing in on 1,000 yards. But the leading rusher in the state is J.J. Goulet for Dixon. Number 3 is going to come out of the pack. Just a tough runner. Now closing in on 30 touchdowns on the season. But Northside has got their sophomore stud in Reginald Gray. He can throw it. He can run it. This time, number 3 just backs it on in with the help of some tush pushing going on. And then one of his favorite targets is Mr. Gavin Davis. And on the reverse, Gavin, the deuce is on the loose and takes it in. Dixon would stick around for a while. This was kind of back and forth as Sean Delaney is going to take it in. But in the end, Northside would steal a possession and they would hit the 50 mark, 50-39, thanks to Rely Anderson. And that Monarch offense, they stay in first place all alone.
Havelock trying to stay a game back of the Monarchs, traveled to the friendly City by the Sea, where the Rams, they weren't very friendly to Swansboro. Zai King Patillo with the rush touchdown, just bulldozing over one of the Pirates and finding his way into the end zone. How about Lloyd Jones, too, a freshman running back, making some time and making it count when he gets it on the field for not just one rush touchdown, but Brent Wooten saying, if it worked once, how about we go with it again? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Another touchdown for Havelock. Swansboro able to get one touchdown late in the end. Kevin Till finding Nolan Armstrong for the score, but Havelock getting the big win, 50-14.
Also in the Coastal Conference, Richlands traveled to West Carteret thanks to our man, Vice Principal John Cyrillic, for the video, including of Joshua Bauman at Super Senior, scoring again. He has been so tough both offensively and defensively this year. And Tanner Payne, the Elon commit, he loves to air it out, looking for Dallas Riggin. How about them, Dallas Riggins? And then West Carteret's defense would do just enough. They get the sack and they get the win, 34-21 over the Land.
Let's go to the East Central Conference, where it looks like East Duplin and Pender started the night tied for first place.
And they face each other next week, so both had to take care of business on the road first before we start talking about that. Let's start with the Panthers wearing their Navy helmets as they made the trip to Clinton. These two programs have had some legendary games through the years. This one was all tied at 13. That's when Sean Davis scores the go-ahead touchdown for East Duplin, and then that Panther defense went to work. Check out number 10, Dwayne Davis. He's going to be lurking, waiting as the Clinton quarterback scrambles, but Davis, DD on the spot. And then Jeremiah Monk. Jeremiah was somebody who tackles for loss, and that would help East Duplin preserve that 20-13 win.
Pender made the 50-mile road trip to Deep Run to take on South Lenoir. The Blue Devils not winless no more like last season, trying to continue to rack up a few wins, but Zeke Williams with the short rushing touchdown, just saying the Patriots, they know how to score going down to one knee. But on the flip side, how about South Lenoir not getting shut out? Christian Wooten on the rush touchdown, just piling his way past the pylon. But even when the offense started to feel good and look good for the Blue Devils, Javin Moore was also just waiting for the interception as the Patriots getting the win over the Blue Devils 44-6.
How about Southwest Onslow looking for its first win of the year, first win of the Zach Garvey era, as the Stallion alum trying to figure out a way to get his team on the victory board. They made the 40-mile trip to Rocky Point to take on Trask. Trenston Bolden, the nice run. And then double deuce, Bolden again off the direct snap, and Southwest Onslow does it. This was the go-ahead touchdown, and they get that first win, 21-14. Congratulations to Zach Garvey for getting that first elusive win.
Let's go to the Swine Valley Conference. Walsboro's Hill coming off its first league loss, trying to stay within a game of first place. James Keenan, Bulldogs hosted winless Spring Creek, and there goes Jamare Lamb. 9 D1 offers. There's a reason why. Check out those uniform combos. Interesting white pants gray jerseys, black helmets. All right, Kevin Motzinger, I see you. But on Spring Creek side,
you don't seem enthused by that combination.
I really don't. It's kind of odd, honestly.
I'm looking at what you're wearing. Don't be too critical of my man Mott. He knows what he's doing.
He does. So do his defense as they were just gobbling up in the backfield. That guy looking like a vending machine with legs getting the tackle. Wallsboro's Hill swallowed up the Gators. Yeah, it wasn't their swamp. They had to play at Lejeune Stadium. 73-0 the win for the Bulldogs.
Other Swine Valley Conference scores. Battle for second place. It was Midway all over Rosewood. And Princeton, no problems with Goldsboro. What's missing? First place James Keenan. They played a non-conference game. The Tigers hosted CB Aycock. And the Falcons trying to pull off the upset. Janison Steele. That's a nice catch for the touchdown, and Aycock celebrating, but you know, James Keenan's got one of them Avent boys at quarterback. Eli looking for Cito Zalea. Cito's over this way, Eli. There he is for the score. That's one Avent. How about Cal Avent coming through? Number 9. Seems to be Johnny on the spot. Jump on that fumble, and James Keenan does it. They roll to the victory, 49-21, to keep their season rolling. Our Battle Royale is next. Ayden-Grifton and Greene Central is next. Thank you for watching The Blitz. Time for our Battle Royale. We knew the Eastern Plains Conference was going to provide lots of entertainment this year because they have Tarboro, Kinston, Farmville Central, and Ayden-Grifton all playing each other week in and week out.
And the Chargers started the night tied with Tarboro for first place, and they just happened to meet next Friday.
But AG had that big rivalry game with Greene Central they had to get through first. AG coming off a big win, Greene Central coming off that crazy loss to Kinston.
And Brian Hanks was honored by being a part of the coin toss, a great special gesture by the Rams, who watched Sean Pollard just breeze right past the defense in for the first touchdown, showing the mask off. Thanks Josh Walston for the video, and wave hello to former Greene Central and News 12 intern Jaden Willis. Tough night for his Rams though, as he watched Loyalty Fuller stay loyal to that end zone for the touchdown. Ayden-Grifton led 35-0. Jay Wilson just going, man, this is a tough game to watch. Man, oh man. Chargers get back-to-back shutouts for the first time since 2019, and head coach Garrett Wingate happier to not lose than to win.
I'll tell you what, when you become a coach, I don't think you ever think about the joys. You think more about how can I prevent bad from happening. And I think that's what the feeling of losing is what drives you for this right here. Yes, this is a great feeling. I love it. They love it. They're happy. They're excited. But, man, we got to get back to work. It's not over yet.
Greene go! Greene go!
Setting up a big matchup in Littlefield against Tarboro. He was saying it. I don't think Littlefield has seen a crowd that they're going to see next Friday like they will.
Well, is Tarboro still undefeated for that game? They hosted a Beddingfield team, hoping to one day be like the Vikings. Jeff Craddock honored before the game, but there's the guy, Riley Hurdle, the Tarboro alum, and was an assistant coach for many years, now trying to build a program for the Bruins, but he would have to watch the Viking wing, Viking offense doing what they do. Sweet Pea said, yep, you missed Caden Everett scoring. You could throw his name in there. And how about the three-name guy? Number 3, McPhair takes it in for the score as Tarboro gets the win over Beddingfield, 55-0. Jalen Fair McNair. That's the name I was trying to say.
One other Eastern Plains Conference game, Kinston, fresh off its dramatic victory at Greene Central. Went at Farmville, both 1-1 in the EPC. Tyler Jones just scrambling, looking for anybody. You think he's throwing away? No, he's got Brennan Chambers in the back of the end zone. The Marshall commit just shrugging off the TD. Ron Cook with the game plan down 21-12, and he was relying on his senior quarterback, B.J. Garner, to find Carnell Cotton, who makes a nice swift move. He had one man to beat and said, excuse me, I got a date with the end zone. 21-19 going into halftime. Brian Gieselman, though, yeah, he said, let's get this back into gear for us. 55-32 win for Kinston, back-to-back dubs. Pat Brown with a nice catch. And Chase Felton, though, he looked good on defense for Farmville, but Kinston getting the win.
They've got that big game with Tarboro Halloween night. Keep that in mind. Now the Blitz Extra. Highlights not seen on the Friday Night Blitz because either we messed up or we ran out of time. One of the two.
Yeah, probably the first one. But we have all the time in the world on YouTube to show you some of the other big games around eastern North Carolina.
Big first place game between Currituck and Martin County. That was in the Northeastern Coastal Conference. They played it at the Swamp. And check out Currituck. Wear the red helmets this year. That's a little unusual. And they're going to get the TD pass right there to number 6. Number 6 would score. John Wheeler says, well, we're just going to keep on wheeling by going to Josh Shepard off the direct snap. Ja takes it all the way in for the score. And like a pie in the face, Martin County beats Currituck 35-29. Huge win for John Wheeler, who is a Currituck alum.
Yes, he is. So getting that victory over his former high school. He talked about that preseason.
Other Northeastern Coastal Conference scores for you. It was Northeastern over Hertford County 31-6, and Pasquotank shut out First Flight 56-0. First place battle in the Eastern Carolina Conference. Washington County with its first 4-game win streak since Plymouth and Cresswell consolidated to form Washington County in 2018. The problem is they had to host Wilson Prep tonight, ranked as one of the best teams in the East. Nazir James is going to take it around the end and take it in for the score to put Wilson Prep up 8-0. And Ben James says, boy, I wish we could do that. They try to go to their passing game. Not going to work. This one's going to get picked off over the middle, and that return would set up another Wilson Prep TD. As James told me in a text message, look, tough one, but these are the ones you got to learn from. You want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and sometimes you get beat by the best, and you got to learn from them, so someday you can be better. Trayvon Usher also scoring as well as Wilson Prep rolls 46-6. Just their third win of the year, though. They're 3-5 because they played such a brutal non-conference schedule. All right, one other game in that conference. It was Northwest Edgecombe getting their first win of the year, beating Sally Howard 14-6.
All right, and Carolina Conference, North Duplin took its 6-1 record on the 28-mile bus trip to Union High School in Sampson County. Thanks to Brian Rhodes for the video. Correll Phillips continues to have a brilliant season for the Rebels with the long touchdown run. Why don't you just give it right back to 2-1? Hugh Martin was certainly happy as the Rebels rolled to another victory, 49-20, just one loss on the year for North Duplin.
Well, other Carolina Conference scores, you've got a couple of teams unbeaten, but Lakewood unbeaten no more in conference. East Bladen took it to them 32-0, and Hobton still leading the way, though. They beat West Columbus 42-28. Atlantic Conference, undefeated Beargrass Charter made the trip to Swan Quarter to take on Mattamuskeet. Thank you to Cassie for this video of Connor Clifton. Look at Connor, double C, go all the way, almost all the way. That would set up a touchdown, then Vance Keel.
Ooh, with the pass.
With the pass from that quarterback position, and then Caleb Thomas getting the sack, and Beargrass gets the win over Mattamuskeet. 48-0 to stay undefeated on the year. One other Atlantic Conference score, it was Hobson in their senior night beating Columbia. Hobgood Charter over Columbia 38-14. Big 8-man showdown, 6-2 Lawrence Academy made the 40-mile trip to Pungo Christian and Bellhaven. The Raiders 5-2 in the season. Last home game for the Pungo bus.
No.
Yes, they're going to build a press box next year. They also said no because Carr Eagles injured on the first play of the game. They're fine quarterback, and that changed the whole dynamic of the game. Couldn't stop Aiden Foster, though. The Lawrence Academy stud wearing number 4, almost matched his jersey number with that many touchdowns. He finished with 3, and Lawrence Academy gets the 5th seed in the playoffs with that big win. Pungo hasn't beaten them since 2020.
The undefeated Parrot Academy hosted St. David's out of Raleigh Patriots coming off a bye week. They were at that Kinston Greene Central crazy game last week. Well rested. Chris Stimson with the pass touchdown to Ben Barrett, 30 yards out. And Parrot Academy just gave it to Mason Mooring for the rush touchdown as Parrot rolls on St. David's 61-21, still undefeated for Matt Beeman and the Patriots.
They've got John Paul II coming up Halloween night. JP2 back at home for the final time for the regular season. They hosted Life Christian out of Chester, Virginia. And the Saints ready to roll at least one more time on that turf. Gentry McMinn wears number 7, likes to score 7 a whole bunch of times, and he does it again. And then check out the short pass after the kickoff. Where's Caleb Rogers? Can he get some defense here for us? There he goes. It's called a TFL, tackle for loss. Then Krishawn Williams is going to do what he does well as well. That would be another touchdown run for 21. Whoa, nice move. 34-6. JP2 keeps on rolling. They're now 8-1 on the season.
Back to public school 11-man football. First place battle in the Big East between Hunt and Northern Nash. We head to Nash County. Third quarter, the Knights' Jamarcus Robinson gets the rock and smashes his way up the middle. 15 yards for the touchdown. Northern Nash leads 27-14. How about the fans on pink night? And later in the third quarter, Hunt's Mez Harris looking for his man, but he's picked off by Marzia Williams, who returns it 25 yards for the pick six. The Knights have drawn their sword and not backing down, increased the lead to 35-14. Fast forward to the fourth, and the home teams keep pounding the rock. Preston McDaniel muscles his way into the promised land, and it looks like Northern Nash, they could not be stopped in the second half, getting the win 49-14 over the Hunt Warriors.
All right, what other Big East Conference scores do we have? Rocky Mount by a deuce over Southern Nash in a great game, and Pike over Southern Wayne 48-12. Some other scores to show you in the Albemarle Conference. Bertie still searching for that first win. Edenton's now won 4 in a row. Watch out for the Aces. For Quimens, 5 better than Camden, and Gates County, the Red Barons fly past Manteo 36-22. And we're going to check in on one more conference. That would be the Coastal Conference, where Hoggard stays undefeated on the year with the 28-14 win over Laney, closer than what some people expected, and New Hanover 32-22, and West Brunswick with a 21-0 win over Topsail, the final score out of that conference. All right, quick analysis here as we head into Week 10. We've got some conference titles up for grabs, but let's start with undefeated Northside out of Pinetown. Yeatsville, wherever you want to say. They look good, and they shouldn't be challenged these last 2 games. They have a chance to get the number 1 seed in 1A.
I mean, what a great game for Keith Boyd, and you knew that Tuesday game from a few weeks ago was a little different, but they get back to their Friday, and East Carteret got that win last year, 35-27 on the road as an underdog, but shout out to the Panthers. They look really strong in that 1A football.
Jacksonville undefeated. Now they have the big one with D.H. Conley this next week.
2 3-0 teams in the Big Carolina Conference, but how do you slow down Bo Williams' offense? That's going to be on Nate Connor's mind all throughout this upcoming week.
Keep an eye on J.H. Rose in that conference, starting to heat up a little bit too. West Craven, now they've gotten through the easier part of the conference. Now they have Eastern Wayne and Southwest Edgecombe back-to-back weeks. They're in the driver's seat, but 2 tough games to finish the regular season.
Eastern Wayne is good, as we saw tonight, a huge win over North Pitt, but Washington getting the surprise win at Southwest Edgecombe. Yeah. So that should be interesting, a team that Wes Craven and Mike Twitchell certainly want to get back from 2 years ago. They lost on the road at the Cougars for the final game of the regular season and to open up the postseason. So that should be an interesting one with the Cougars.
East Duplin looking great. Now they get undefeated Pender, and that'll be for that conference title.
That'll be great for East Duplin, but then just a little bit down the road, how about James Keenan continuing to rack up wins? The first ever time playing against CB Aycock, getting the victory, and Tim Grady knows that those guys talked about getting on the bus after that 4th-round loss at Northeastern last year, and he said these guys are more focused than he's ever seen.
Undefeated Tarboro, Ayden-Grifton. That'll be for first place next week in the Eastern Plains Conference.
As Coach Garrett Wingate said, it's going to be a rockin' atmosphere at Littlefield over at Ayden-Grifton High School. I'm excited. I feel like you're going to take that game next week.
We'll have to see. Martin County, a huge win, and they're now in the driver's seat of their conference. And then Parrot Academy staying undefeated, and they got that big game coming up with JP2. So still a lot of great football to play here over the next couple of weeks.
And shout out Lejeune getting their first win of the season. It may have taken a lot of the season to get there, but the Devil Pups, after having a government shutdown, got to come back, got a victory. Huge shout out to first-year head coach Sam Kasu on that win for the Devil Pups.
And hang in there, Jones Sr. You're going to get there. You got a good man leading the program,
Love you, Stephen Perry.
They just have to get the programs going again. Devastated by the hurricanes that rolled through, declining enrollment, lost a lot of their kids, lost a lot of their feeder programs to just trying to rebuild from scratch, and they would really like to taste victory at some point. So keep at it, keep doing what you're going to do, and then that victory will be really sweet when it finally pays off.